Can the average viewer tell the difference between a video that was recorded on a cell phone and a video that was recorded with a DSLR camera? Does it matter what you use to film your videos when your goal is to get you in front of more potential clients to help grow your business? I have filmed hundreds and hundreds of videos using my phone, my iPad, my webcam, and my DSLR camera with a nice fancy lens. Does it really matter what you use? In today's video, we're going to find out. I am recording this right now on what I will refer to as camera 1, and I am recording this on what I will call camera 2. There is a difference to be sure, but is it enough of a difference to make the viewer prefer one over the other? And if they never saw the two frames side by side, would they even know what they were missing? Would they be able to tell what device you were filming with? I am a firm believer that the content of your video is far more important than the equipment you use to make it. It is what you say, how you say it, and how you present the information that matters. Just like if I buy a pair of Air Jordans, it does not make me a great basketball player. Neither does having a $3,000 camera or fancy editing equipment make your videos much better. So let's end the suspense. Right now, I am filming on, drumroll please, my iPhone 13 Pro, which is a couple of years old. Now it has an amazing camera lens. In fact, it has 3 camera lenses. It has the regular, the close-up, and the far away. It also lets me shoot in cinematic mode, which is what I'm filming with right now. When I go to the camera and I say, instead of video, let's shoot in cinematic, it makes what's behind me just slightly blurred and out of focus. This is what makes it look less like a cell phone and more like a real camera. But before I had my iPhone 13, I had an iPhone 11 and an iPhone 8 Plus and an iPhone 6 Plus, and all of those videos were just fine too. So how do you make videos that use the minimum amount of equipment and get the maximum amount of reach? Simple. Let's start with the basics. Number 1, you're going to need a good tripod with an adapter that will hold your cell phone. Not every tripod comes with a cell phone adapter, so you may need to buy it separately. I will link to what I have down below so that if you click on it and you don't go down the rabbit hole at Amazon, spending an hour and a half looking at all kinds of stuff you don't need. Next is audio. I always recommend that you have an external microphone. The audio will be so much better than shouting across the room at your iPhone, which could be 6 or 10 feet away from you. Again, it doesn't need to be expensive. It just needs to be close to your mouth. Whether you have a shotgun mic or a lavalier mic or Bluetooth earbuds, it doesn't really matter as long as the microphone is close to your mouth. If you go with a lavalier mic, one that clips onto your lapel like the newscasters wear on TV, you can get one that has a cord or one that does not and is Bluetooth. The pros of Bluetooth is there's no cord to trip over. The downside is you got to remember to charge the thing. I cannot tell you how many times I have sat down to film a video and the battery was on 0%. So you got to remember to do that. The downside with the lavalier mic is that it's got a big cord. So it's always a tangled, jumbled mess. And it could be very short, which means you're going to be a lot closer to the camera than you want it to be, or it's very long and you got to spend 15 minutes untangling the darn thing every single time you want to go use it. You can also just use your AirPods, some Bluetooth earbuds. They may not look the greatest, but if your hair is down and they're kind of camouflaged by your hair, it's not a big deal. It will be just fine. Don't overthink it. Let's move on to lighting. If you are in your home office, or your home for that matter, can you face a window? If you've got adequate light coming in that window, it might be just fine. If that's not quite good enough for you though, I do recommend having 2 lights. Instead of being right in front of you with a ring light, how about you split them and have one here and one here? We want to have one light that puts more light on your face, so one side of your face will be really well illuminated, and then the other one is a little bit softer. Maybe it's farther away, maybe it's pointing slightly away, so this side of your face will be slightly in shadow. If you've ever looked at professional portraits, they do this on purpose. The person is not lit equally from left to right. One side has more light and the other side is just a little bit in shadow. It's very artistic, don't you think? I do recommend though that you have something to diffuse the light. We know how harsh light can be. This is why we never go to Walmart to the cosmetics section and hold up a little compact trying to color match foundation. That harsh lighting will not make you feel good about yourself. Instead, you want a light that has a little screen in front of it that the light can shine through. It's every bit as bright, but that diffuser just creates a softer light. It's much more flattering to those of us that are no longer 20 years old and have a few imperfections that we would not be opposed to camouflaging. So now we have a tripod, we have audio, we have lighting. Now it comes to the actual filming space. Set up your phone on the tripod and then go stand behind it and look to see how this looks. And by the way, we are filming with the rear-facing camera, not the front-facing camera. We want the one where we're looking at the camera lens. We're not looking at the camera screen. The camera lens that faces away from your face is always a much higher quality. So that's the one we're using. You will not be able to see your face on screen. You got to make sure that when you sit and look at the filming area that you're not going to get your head chopped off in the frame. Look at what's behind you and see how much of the room is going to show in your frame. Now, when I am filming right now, this is how much is showing. I don't like that. I don't want to see all of this room. I don't want to see the hallway and the door. I don't want to see any mess in the room. I much prefer to have a very tight shot so that I am in control of what is being shown on camera behind me. So before you ever turn on your camera, you want to clean up your space. If your desk shows and there's stuff all over your desk, get rid of it. If you are in a bedroom, make sure what's behind you is not a total disaster. You do not want the viewer to be totally focusing on the mess behind you or something that is hanging crooked in the background. It will drive them crazy and it pulls their attention away from what you're telling them. Also be mindful of where things are in relation to you. I see a lot of YouTube videos where they have an amazing painting on the wall, but when they sit in the center of the frame, their head completely covers the painting. Why not move the painting slightly off center? Or you don't have to sit dead center in the frame. You could move over a little bit too. Now, when it comes to what's behind you, don't be right up against the wall. You do not want this to look like a mugshot at the police station. When you are flat up against the wall, it looks like a lineup, doesn't it? You want to have some depth of field. You want to have space between you and what's behind you. I recommend a minimum of 6 feet whenever possible. So the way I am filming this is my iPhone is on a tripod about 5 feet in front of me, and then there's at least 8 feet behind me and my back wall. I put a couple of very inexpensive LED lights on the floor behind the sofa and a couple on the shelves of the bookcase just to give the set a little something extra. They're not helping add any light to the room, they're just making the backdrop look more interesting. What about the wall color? Does that really matter? I get so many questions from people wanting to know the exact paint color of my walls. I will tell you what it is, but here's what I want to say. I am very, very pale and I have silver hair. If I had a light colored wall behind me, I would not stand out at all. So the reason I went with a very dark color was so that I would stand out from my backdrop. I make sure to wear colors where I will pop off of the background. But if I had black hair and very dark skin, I would not choose dark walls. I would choose a very light wall. Again, we want some contrast. We want you to be the focal point of the video. And if you blend into your background, we're just not going to see you. Remember that you are the star of the show here. We want everyone's attention to be on you and the information that you are delivering, the entertainment value, the content that you are providing. Keep what's behind you to a minimum. Keep it clean, not terribly cluttered. Make it visually interesting, but not enough to pull focus from you. If you are an author, it's a great idea to have your books behind you in the background as a little shameless plug. And it just adds more authority and expertise to what you are telling your audience. If you have a brand with a color scheme, it's a great idea if you can keep your brand colors consistent. Mine are navy blue and yellow. And yes, that is the color scheme that I've gone for with decor items on my shelf and the wall colors. And so if you're dying to know what my wall color is, it's called salty dog. Now, whatever you do, do not choose the wide angle lens feature of your phone if it's going to make the edges look curved. There is nothing, in my opinion, more amateurish than that fishbowl look, where we can tell you used a wide angle lens because you were trying to make the room look wider, but in the end, it really does not look good at all. You want your lines to be straight up and down and perfectly level horizontally. So when you're looking through your camera lens, make sure that nothing is kind of leaning to one side. Make sure that your camera is level. And if anything, if it was not level, when you pull it into your video editing program, now is the time to make that adjustment before you start cutting it up and doing all of your editing. So you've filmed your amazing video and now you want to repurpose it by chopping it up into small little pieces that will be vertical that you can share on social media. How do we do that? I'm so glad you asked, because that video is up next.